Take Hot Rod and L Train coming at y'all. Man, it's the T-Train show. Y'all know what time it is, man. What up, T? What up? Hot Rod. What up? L Train. Y'all know what time it is, man.
Welcome to another edition of 3 the Hard Way. I'm going to get rid of the 3 just for now. I'm going to hold up the Shedeur. I'm going to hold it up. But first, before we get to the game, because we had a Shedeur Sanders sighting today, I got to introduce my fellas. With me, as always, is the influencer,
Man,
Mr. Hot Rod, Rodney Young. Rod, what's going on in your world, man?
Neighborhood coach, and like I always say, you may not like what I say, but you will listen.
And the captain of our ship, Mr. Terrence Austin T. How you feeling today on 3 the Hard Way, man?
What's happening, L Train? What's happening, Rod? What's happening, everyone out there, 3 the Hard Way Nation? Let's go. Let's get this ship underway. Let's go to sea. Let's go.
Well, something special happened today. I wasn't expecting it. We were actually supposed to start taping a little bit earlier, and then all of a sudden we had a Shedeur Sanders sighting. Dillon Gabriel didn't come out of the locker room at halftime. Dillon Gabriel had a concussion, supposedly is what the report's in. And then all of a sudden we saw Shedeur Sanders put his helmet on, and the crowd responded. The majority of the people that was in the state, they went nuts. Hot Rod. Yeah, the majority of people started holding up the watch signal. Now, long story short, Shedeur Sanders wasn't very successful today, but it wasn't all Shedeur Sanders' fault. There's a lot of hot takes that we are going to talk about that attributed to what we saw from Shedeur Sanders today. But fellas, give me your thoughts. Give me your impressions about the game. Give me your impressions about that second half. Shedeur Sanders coming in the game. What are your thoughts? Give it to 3 the Hard Way Nation.
All right, let me kick things off. Dillon Gabriel, 7 for 10 for 68 yards. Shedeur, 4 for 16 for 47 yards. Okay. Junkins, Quinshon Junkins, first of all, let's talk about that kid. Man, we have a superstar. We have our replacement for Nick Chubb, okay?
Yep.
Going forward, we got our replacement for Nick Chubb. Now, getting back to today's game, hey, the special teams played pretty good.
Yes, they did.
The defense was, on course. The offense, a little up and down, not much consistency. But we know where we need to improve, okay? And that is with the offense. We know that's what we got to, get going. Kevin Stefanski, I'm going to save all that for Hot Rod. I'm going to save all that. Let him break it down. Let him talk about our coach, this and that. But going forward, we know where the weak points are, the weak spots are. We know what we need to address. Let me just cut right to it. Shedeur didn't look good at all, okay? But he was a rookie. He's a rookie going up against the Baltimore Ravens, and that's, we know what they are, and we know what they bring. They pinned their ears back, and they made it rough for the rookie, and that's, how it should have looked. That's how it was supposed to be. Okay, now going forward, he'll have a whole week to work with, the first team guys, the first team offense, working with the play callers, this and that, working with the offensive line who, did their best to protect him. I didn't watch, but I listened to the game via radio, and I heard how the offensive linemen were upset with the refs at the end, how Shedeur had been treated, how the guys had taken some shots at him. So they seem to back him going forward. I can't wait to see. I'm not going to beat the kid up. I'm not going to beat him up. The Browns gave their best today. They did the best that they could. And we'll just, take this one on the cheek against a tough Baltimore Ravens team who at the beginning of the year, this is a team that's expected to win the Super Bowl. So, hey, losing to them, I don't feel bad, but we'll, see what happens next week going forward.
Let's
with our
talk
guys.
the positives.
Yeah, defense played really well. Go ahead, Hot Rod.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, you want to talk about the fourth down that they gave up. Yeah, that was huge.
Oh, yeah.
Schlesinger, once again, 10 tackles. He was all over the place. Give a shout out to the secondary because Myles Garrett had 4 more sacks today.
He's a stud.
And a lot of those sacks was based off the fact that Lamar Jackson couldn't find anybody. So You know, so you got to give the secondary some credit.
Yeah.
This defense played well enough to win the game.
Yeah,
they did. They played well enough to win the game. Jenkins ran his tail off when he couldn't do any more than they asked him to, you know. And so Shedeur, when we get with Shedeur, he didn't have a great game. He didn't. And I'm not going to sit here and make excuses. He did not perform well, you know. Absolutely. But you understand the haters.
There's a reason for that, though,
that's going to come out.
There's a reason.
Because like I said, my social media blew up because people are like, well, you see, you get the same thing that Gabriel gave that Shedeur did. No, let's stop right there. Because when you get a chance to see the All-22, Jerome Ford should be sued for malpractice because there was a couple of blitzes that came straight up the A-gap that he whiffed on blocks. You understand? Okay, so let's you know, Cal Hamilton was running ragged. And they shout out to the Ravens. They did what I would have done. You got a rookie quarterback coming in. You see the press clippings. You know the fact that he hadn't been getting first-team reps. You know the fact that he been throwing the team managers and water boys. So you doggone right. I'm going to blitz him until my eyes bug out. And that's exactly what Baltimore did. Now, on that last drive, you see Shedeur. Because if Larvidan catches that ball in the end zone, we're looking at a tie ball game. That ball that he threw to Harold Fannin Jr. in that last drive, good ball. Now, he's still holding the ball too long. He took a sack. He's still dropping too deep in the pocket, as we talked about on a previous show.
Way too long.
And he's still doing that spin tactic that Myles Garrett told him not to do. And he's still doing it. Okay? So now, what am I going to say? That is an indictment on coaching.
Don't do it.
Because if that kid, he did that in the preseason Carolina game. So if he did that in the preseason Carolina game, you had all this season to get that stuff fixed and you still didn't get it fixed. Period.
Well, Hot Rod, you taught me something. You taught me something because you used the term back then when we were analyzing that game. You were like, Shedeur Sanders
he did not, and that's why sacks took place because he didn't climb the pocket.
See that today.
He kept trying to roll away from it. Okay, but once again, these are things that should have been coached up to him. Now we don't know what happens in practice. If they coached it up to him and he just didn't listen, that's on him. But guess what? He is now your problem because Dillon Gabriel has a concussion. He will not be there for the Raiders game. So now you got to get Shedeur prepared. All right. And so I'll get into Kevin Stefanski later. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time with this dude. But I saw some encouraging things. Okay. Like I said, that defense played absolutely lights out. Okay. They caused turnovers. Myles went berserk. Okay, Derrick Henry had 100 yards, but if you go back, that's the first time Derrick Henry has had 100 yards on a Browns defense in a while. Okay, so I'm not disappointed that they lost.
Yeah.
Because they competed. Okay, they fought, and so it is what it is. We move to the next game. I did want to see Shedeur. I saw him. Did he look prepared? No, not at all. He didn't look prepared at all. But he didn't get flustered. He kept doing his thing, but there's still flaws that wasn't cleaned up by either Shedeur or this coaching staff. Okay,
right.
Here's the reality of it all, fellas. There was finally some electricity in that stadium when Shedeur Sanders entered the game, and everybody saw it. So you can't refute that. And I'm not going to sit here and make a whole lot of excuses for Shedeur because I knew this day was coming. I didn't know whether it was going to come this year or whether it was going to come next year, but I knew Shedeur was going to have an opportunity to play. And here's the deal. This is why letting Dillon Gabriel play the amount of time that Dillon Gabriel played is really, really important because we all know the situation with Shedeur. For me, making my living as a coach, the one thing that I hang my hat on is preparation. You have to have great preparation to be able to compete at high-level athletics. And I can honestly say, I'm not in their practices every day, but I think there's a strong case to know that Shedeur wasn't prepared to face what he faced today. All I want, and I've been saying it for the last 3 or 4 podcasts about Dillon Gabriel and the way he plays, I just want the same sort of preparation for Shedeur Sanders. Okay, we've seen him now, fellas. Now, what I want is a full week of practice for Shedeur with the ones. I want to see a full week of practice or preparation to go up against what he's going to see against the Raiders. I want a full week. And let's see how Shedeur does next week after a full week of preparation. Now, you could argue, well, he's a second-string quarterback. He knew he was a second-string quarterback. He should have been ready and prepared. But you can only get so much prepared to what your coaches give you during the week. And I don't think that the Cleveland Browns coaching staff gave him a lot of prep work to face what he faced today. Just, 8 or 9 guys up at the line of scrimmage, not knowing who's going to drop, who's going to stunt, who's going to come through what gap. I mean, that is a cluster for a rookie quarterback when he doesn't prepare for games. So that's what Shedeur faced today. No excuses. There were some throws he could have made. I agree with Hot Rod. The one thing that I saw today is that he held on to the ball too long. There were guys, absolutely. There were guys that he could have checked the ball down to that he didn't. Quinshawn Junkins a couple of times where he hit him one time, but there were a couple of times where he just could have checked it down and he didn't. So I just want to see him with the full week. I'm not going to make too big a deal of this. Even if he would have played well, I wouldn't have made too big of a deal. I just want to see him with consistent prep because that's going to give you the overall evaluation of what Shedeur could really be.
Right. And I'll definitely be looking forward to next week because I will watch. Now, one thing about listening to the games, Gerard Cherry, 4-time Super Bowl winner, is on the sideline as a sideline reporter.
Okay.
And after every 3 and out, he summarizes what happens or what is happening, what is going on, what's taking place. And listening to Gerard Cherry, I tell you, I'm able to formulate the picture in my mind. So he gives some good stuff. Again, I wish I could have watched. The game wasn't on here. They were showing Kansas City and Denver instead. So, again, I pulled up the old radio that got me through the 30 years of my naval career listening, to the Browns. But listening to Gerard Cherry, he puts you right there, So I really enjoy it. But next week, with Shedeur being out there,
there weren't a whole lot of people in the stadium.
There you go.
Participant next week. I will be.
There wasn't there wasn't a lot of people in the stadium today. I looked at that.
No, there wasn't,
okay?
Rod. I was going to mention that.
Yeah. There was nobody there. You understand what I'm saying?
This
and so
is Cleveland,
it didn't matter
and
that
there
they
was
dropped
nobody
tickets to $6.
Wow.
People ain't paying $6 for a crappy product, okay? It's very simple. And now Kevin Stefanski has no choice. He has got to play Shedeur Sanders. He has got to give him the first team reps this upcoming week. I am so excited to listen to his press conference today, because he's going to get bombarded with questions. Okay, well, Shedeur was there. What's happening? And people are going to break it down this week. Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, ESPN Cleveland, 92.3 The Fan. They're all going to break this down, and they're going to see the same things that Shedeur Sanders was doing in the preseason that he did today. And that's why I said there's going to be an extreme indictment on Kevin Stefanski and that offensive coaching staff not having your backup quarterback prepared.
Yeah, the stat. I wish Shedeur stats could have been a little bit better. The 4 for 16. That's nasty work. That's nasty work right there, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just wish it could have, because the haters are about to come out. As much as people wanted to see Shedeur get in the game, there's an equal amount of people that wanted to see him get in the game and fail.
That
and
interception
like
that he
threw,
today, go back and look at what happened. Kyle Hamilton came straight up the middle, and Jerome Ford absolutely whiffed, and he took a shot. He probably shouldn't have thrown that ball, but he was trying to get rid of it. No, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for Shedeur. He's got more work to do. But contraire, mon frere, everybody ain't going to walk out of unscathed on this, because you saw a backup quarterback who was not prepared. You saw it. Okay. And I'm looking at Kevin Stefanski's face when he found out Dylan Gabriel wasn't coming back. That dude looked like he saw a ghost, because at this point he can't avoid it anymore. Okay. I heard this week he wouldn't even call the young man by his name. All right.
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. So now it's time. It's time. And I hope worst nightmare is sitting right in front of him. It's sitting right in front of him. And
His
I
worst
cheer for
nightmare is sitting
Shedeur
right next to
because
him
I
in the
know
front seat
there's
of
a
the car.
section of
Right.
haters that is out here that just they want him to fail. And I want and I say this, and I texted you this, Cap. It seemed like the energy was different when Shedeur came on the field. It was a different type of energy, okay? Their pass protection other than Jerome Ford was pretty decent.
Felt it through
when
the radio.
It came to that, okay?
Yeah, felt it through the radio.
Shedeur looked like he had to, listen, everything he not. Oh, well, he didn't know the offense. Looked like he did. Receivers wasn't getting open. We could talk about that later. Oh, he didn't have command of the huddle. It looks like Batonio and them guys was on his side, ready for him to roll, okay? Well, all of a sudden, we couldn't get the run game off. If we could have got the run game off, then it probably would have took a lot of pressure off of Shedeur. Number two, I think the play calling by Tommy Rees was predictable. You're handoff. Now third down. Yeah. Now third down, you behind the sticks, and now all Baltimore is going to do is they're going to bring the house, and that's what they did.
I'm not impressed.
When you third down and 11, third down and 12, yeah, I'm going to bring the house too. So I just think Tommy Rees panicked because I truly believe they never really worked with Shedeur. I think Shedeur is getting all of this information on his own. I think he's really he's trying to pull people. He's talking to people. He's doing film study. He's trying to be in his playbook. But in terms of somebody sitting him down saying, hey, kid, here's what you got to do. In this cover two, we're going to rip the seam. If that safety no. I don't think anybody's doing that with him simply because the bad habits that he possesses has not gone away. That's coaching.
Yeah. And as petty as you say the coach is, Rod, I wonder how prepared he has Tommy Rees as far as doing his job. Does he have all the resources and all the tools and everything that he needs to be doing what he's doing?
Is that they're working with Tommy, him and Tommy Rees are working, but it was for Dylan Gabriel.
You wonder about that.
I don't think that they were spending time putting a package together, the Shedeur Sanders package. They were so focused on Dylan Gabriel. And let's talk about Dylan Gabriel really fast before he went out for a concussion. Yes. No, he didn't. No.
And he wasn't that.
Listen,
he wasn't that great either today.
Pass.
I mean, he was sustainable, but he wasn't that great.
The Bluebirds were out the stadium.
Let me stand
Dylan
corrected.
Gabriel.
There was a rollout that the receiver was right in front of him, and he airmailed it, okay? There was another pass to Fannin on an out that he threw straight into the dirt. Stop. I'm done with Dylan Gabriel now, okay? Let's prepare Shedeur. Let's see what we have. If Shedeur is not it, we still got 2 first-round picks. We can go ahead and pick one of these underachieving quarterbacks that's in the college football right now, okay? And eventually, I hope we can do a show like that where we can start going over potential prospects for these teams, because these quarterbacks, the only one that I've seen, the young man in Indiana, of course, Julian Sain, I'm still not, I am becoming less and less impressed with Arch Manning right now, watching him. Yeah, but I think he's going to transfer. He's not
I like
coming
the
to
Sellers
the pros.
kid.
And
like
my understanding is that's Brad's cousin. Sellers. Yes. Wow. That's his cousin. From my understanding, that's his cousin. Yeah. So
we'll ask him. We'll find out.
We can continue to break this down like that. Listen, I'm glad to see Shedeur was out there, even though he did not play well.
We'll ask him.
I just need to see him on the field. Let him get the rust off. Give him a week. Hopefully, this coaching staff will go ahead and coach him up, and then they play the Raiders. And let's see how he plays against the Raiders. Can't be no worse than what Dylan Gabriel has done in the last 4 games.
Yeah. Big Bro always asks me every week whenever the Browns win a game or lose a game, he was like, does this situation buy Kevin Stefanski more time? So I'm going to ask you this, fellas. Now that Shedeur is in, because there were rumors this week, I heard it, that if Stefanski lost this game, that Schwartz probably would take over for the rest of the season as an interim if it looked bad. The Browns had to lead the majority of the game today. Now you have a quarterback switch with Shedeur. Does this buy Kevin Stefanski a little bit more time? Because there's a segment of the population, Cap and Hot Rod, where people want him gone now, today, not at the end of the year.
And I wouldn't mind him being gone, but this was an unforeseen switch, okay? He didn't know that the kid was going to get hurt. But what it did show is that your backup wasn't prepared. It's just like me in the military. I lose, sailors and Marines all the time. I got to have somebody, to back them up because the ship still has to get underway. Can't say, hey, because this guy is out, that guy is out, we can't go anywhere. No. But what it does show is, again, he didn't have, Shedeur prepared. So let's give him a week and let's see what happens. I really don't know the relationship between the owner and Stefanski, but we will soon find out. I want him gone at the end of the season. I do. I'm okay with Andrew Berry based on the rookie, class that he just put in.
Yeah.
But I've had enough of Stefanski. I'm ready for him to go. I think he'd make a great coordinator somewhere. He's just not a leader of men. He's not a leader. He's not a coach. He's not a guy that, can rally the troops. So to answer Big Bro Greg, my friend's question is, no, Stefanski will be around next week. Let's see what he can do. Let's see if there's an improvement.
Fire him
and then
now.
We'll see what happens going
forward.
You
can move Jim Schwartz as the head coach. You can keep Tommy Rees, as the, OC. You can keep the coach. But there's some coaches that's got to go. Bubba Ventrone has got to go. He's got to go. And so, but I think what will end up happening is the
Bubba Ventrone's got to go.
They'll start coming at the end of the season. Listen, the Browns are 2-8. They're 2-8. So even if they went on a run, they're not going to qualify for the playoffs. They're done.
Yep.
So you might as well keep Kevin there. Okay. Did this give him another week? Yeah, because people now are getting what they want, and that's Shedeur. Okay. Now, if the offense turns around, okay. Now I said this on my podcast, is I believe there is a possibility of Kevin Stefanski coming back next year. And I know, but hear me out. Gentlemen, hear me out. Rod,
Rod, come on, Rod.
Here's the thing.
Rod. Oh, come on, Rod.
Jimmy Haslam feels absolutely awful about the Deshaun Watson pickup. And he feels that he put Kevin Stefanski in a bad position because of the Deshaun Watson thing. Okay? There is a strong possibility that if Andrew Berry has another home run when it comes to this next draft, that Kevin Stefanski could be the head coach. All right. Listen, if they fire him, because as L Train says, everything is fluid. If they fire him, then they fire him. But there is a possibility that you could see Kevin Stefanski for one more year because he has that awesome rookie class that he has now. And if Barry drafts another decent rookie class, get him some receivers, get him some weapons, and then possibly if Shedeur doesn't pan out, get him a quarterback, okay? There's a possibility that Jimmy Haslam will allow him one more year. However, if they come out the block 0-2, Kevin will be fired in the beginning of the season. He'll be fired. Now, do I believe that? No. But is it a possible? Yeah.
Percentage on it, Hot Rod. Put a percentage on it. Put a percentage on it in terms of him. What do you think the percentage is that Kevin Stefanski, obviously there is a possibility. I totally agree with you. But in terms 55%. Of the Browns going that way, what is a percentage of Kevin Stefanski 55% possibly returning for next year?
Because look at the moves, and I see Cap ready to explode. Look at the moves that Andrew Berry made. Look at some of the things that Kevin Stefanski has done when it came to not giving Shedeur the reps, to the way that he's been moving during this season. Does that sound like a man who knows that he's going to be fired at the end of the year? No. And then Jimmy Haslam a couple weeks ago came out and said he gave him the quote-unquote vote of confidence. Now, we know how far that goes, but that's what I'm saying. There is a percentage that Kevin Stefanski could return next year. I know everybody want him fired. I know everybody wants him gone. But at the end of the day, I think Jimmy Haslam, D. Haslam, I think they feel that Kevin is the guy. They feel that Kevin is the guy that can lead this group. Now, I believe he's lost the locker room. And once you lose the locker room, you can't get it back. Okay? And so I'm really seeing it because here's one that'll get y'all. When the punt was when they called it a touchback and Kevin had to throw the challenge flag. When they showed Wyatt Teller and the announcers kind of poo-pooed it, but Wyatt
Challenge
Teller
flag,
was
yeah,
screaming at Kevin Stefanski to throw the challenge flag. He said, throw the flag. What are you doing? I truly believe that he's lost the locker room. I think he's holding on. But if Andrew Berry, who has went into witness protection, no one has heard from Andrew Berry, okay, since he traded Joe Flacco, which, by the way, Joe Flacco came to earth again, guys, today. We may talk about that later. But there is a percentage that Kevin Stefanski could return.
Yeah. Well, you know, Rod, you dress it up, okay? When you first brought that lunch out, it looked like it was straight down garbage. But after you put your justification on there, brought the facts, I can kind of see that somewhat, okay? I can. Now, with the owner wanting to make it up to him for the Deshaun Watson mess, again, yeah, and that turned out to be a mess.
Yeah.
It really did. But I, again, understand why he rolled the dice and went with Deshaun, okay? I see it. We didn't know Deshaun was going to be as terrible as he was. And at the time that he, acquired him, yes, he was an upgrade over Baker Mayfield at the time. He was an upgrade despite all the off-field stuff, Now, I think going back 2 years ago when all that went down, if Deshaun would have just got those 6 games, that the NFL had said in the beginning, I think we wouldn't be where we were now, where we are now with him. But, when Mina Kimes and all those people on ESPN had a fit with him only getting 6 games and kind of put pressure, and then they upped it to 10, 11 games, then I knew he was done. Again, Jimmy D, okay, yeah. You want to, you want to stick up for the coach and repay him back. I kind of get it, but let's move on from that too. Because again, like I say, it turned out to be bad, but I understand why they went in that direction. I do. I understand.
Yeah, I got a little pushback. Like, I don't think Hot Rod's take is way off base. I do that. I do think
he cleaned it up.
No. I do think there is a chance that Kevin Stefanski for sure could come back, and I thought that the points that Hot Rod brought up were very valid points. But I think when you look at the whole thing with this situation, the one thing I know about any professional sports organization, money talks. And I think the only way Kevin Stefanski comes back to this organization is if some way, somehow, he is tied to Shedeur Sanders. See, right now, we've got a problem. We've got the passionate fan base in Cleveland not showing up for games. Like you saw that today. That's a money problem. And then you also have the fans that were there every time Dylan Gabriel threw a bad pass or an incomplete pass. What did they do? They booed. So now the fans are starting to show what their emotions and what their feelings are. And even if Jimmy Haslam wants to make something up to Kevin Stefanski, he cares about his pocketbook just a little bit more than making something up to Kevin Stefanski. So, if Kevin Stefanski can win another couple of games and somehow Shedeur starts to ascend under Kevin Stefanski, I totally can see him coming back. But I don't think another rookie quarterback can save him. And I don't think Dylan Gabriel can save him. And then I'll also touch on the Deshaun Watson thing. I don't know if Deshaun Watson can't play anymore. It seems like every quarterback under this system doesn't do very well. I know the narrative out there about Deshaun Watson is that he's washed up. He can't play anymore. He's not the MVP caliber talent that he was. Man, under this system, fellas, I don't know anymore.
Right.
I don't think he'll play again for the Cleveland Browns, but he may go somewhere else and look a little bit different. Hence, Joe Flacco for the Cincinnati Bengals and what he's been doing with the Bengals, man. So I just don't know. I do think there's a chance that Kevin Stefanski comes back. Absolutely 100%. I don't know about the 55%, Hot Rod. I don't know about the 55%.
We'll see.
But I know that
that
is
said,
on the table.
Everything is fluid.
Like, that is on the table for sure.
I'm an option type person, and as much as the fans and also us has been talking about getting rid of Stefanski, there is a distinct possibility that this gentleman will be back because of some of the moves that have been made. Coaches that are on the hot seat don't make or say the things that Kevin Stefanski does or says if he does not have reassurance that he would be back the next year. Okay.
That is true.
So, but Jimmy is getting what he wants now because to them, Shedeur is a cash cow. People are that's going to get butts back in the seats. Even for, I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
And he's going to play better next week and going forward.
Listen,
he's going
we
to get
went
better.
through 4 or 5 games with Dylan Gabriel throwing dirt balls. So let's go through the next few. Yeah, hospital balls. Let's go ahead and let's look at Shedeur and listen.
And hospital balls, as you call them. And hospital balls,
I want the
too.
quarterback that's going to lead the Browns back to glory, okay? That's all I want. And if that quarterback is there, then he is there. If that quarterback is in the draft, he is in the draft. However, if you go and you draft a quarterback, it's going to take him a couple years to get him up to speed. So now, what are we doing? The next 2 years, we're trying to get a quarterback up to speed. By the way, in the next couple years, we'll be in Brook Park. Wow, coincidence? I think not.
Let me ask you fellas this, because we touched on the subject of whether or not, what was the percentage of Kevin Stefanski possibly coming back. I'm going to hit you with a little different question. What are the chances Dylan Gabriel, I mean, he only has a concussion, fellas. He doesn't have a broke leg. Like, what are the chances Dylan Gabriel comes back and plays? Like, I think it should be Shedeur, but we're talking about petty Kevin Stefanski here.
Yeah.
Right? What are the chances Dylan Gabriel gets back? Like, I think it will be total anarchy, but have we seen the last of Dylan Gabriel?
It should be less than 25% to answer your question, okay? That's what it should be. What it will be, who knows? Only time will tell. Time will tell. Okay. But it should be less than 25%.
He's going to be out at least a week, okay, just through concussion protocol. All right?
Agree.
Now, that Raiders game, Shedeur's got to play.
Yep.
If Shedeur plays well, you're not going to see Dylan Gabriel again. If he gets better and he plays well, there'll be no more Dylan Gabriel. Now, the question is next year, what 2 quarterbacks do you keep? Which one do you keep? Because if you draft another quarterback, are you going to keep Shedeur and Gabriel? That's just going to be another cluster mess. Somebody's got to go, okay? Somebody's got to go. And if Shedeur plays the way that I hope that he does, it'll be a cold day in Hades before the Browns get rid of Shedeur. Shedeur brings money in. Shedeur he has a personality. And remember what I said. If you look back at the quarterbacks that's had personality amongst Kevin Stefanski, Kevin's never gotten along with him. Kevin wants that dry, that kid that going to say the most company thing in the world. If you listen to Dylan Gabriel's last press conference, he sounded like Kevin. He sounded like him. That's what Kevin wants. Kevin doesn't want a top-tier quarterback.
Yeah, like
he
him,
wants
like
a
Dylan.
disciple.
Yeah,
he
like
wants
him.
somebody that sounds like him, that talks like him. And I go back to all my haters that's going to come and say, oh, well, you're just a Shedeur Sanders guy. I dare somebody to go back and watch Ohio State and Oregon last year and tell me how good Dylan Gabriel was in that game. That's exactly what you're seeing right now in the pros. It's the same thing you saw when he was playing at the University of Oregon. So, come on.
Yeah. Well, obviously, Dylan Gabriel is going to be under concussion protocol at least for the next week, okay? But you know what I'm interested in, fellas? Because when you are a spin doctor, you know, sometimes you forget what you say. And I look at a guy like Kevin Stefanski. Hot Rod, you call him a salesman. He's a salesman. He's a spin doctor, whatever adjective you want to attach to him. You know what I'm interested in seeing? Once he gets out of concussion protocol, if he is not the first-string quarterback anymore, I want to see how he's treated and how he's prepared. Because we all saw how Shedeur was prepared. He didn't get a whole lot of first-team reps, if any. And like you said, he was throwing the water boys and such and such. So now, if they make the decision and they say, hey, Shedeur, at least for this certain amount of games or the rest of the season, he's going to be our first-string guy, I'm just interested to see what the second-string preparation looks like.
L-Train, by the looks of your question the look on your face, I think you already know the answer. I think you already know the answer. Right. I think you already know. Yeah. I think you already know.
The one thing that we had in the locker room is that a starter never lost his position because of injury. He only would lose his position due to bad play. So after the Raiders game, that is the week that I want to see because if Dylan Gabriel comes up and all of a sudden he has a shoulder contusion or he twisted his ankle or something of that nature or a high ankle sprain, you're not going to see Dylan Gabriel for the rest of the season. That'll be it. They'll keep doing that, and they'll just hold him off for the rest of the season. If they don't do that, there's a possibility that after the Raiders, Dylan will be reinserted, which would drive the city nuts. Nuts.
It'll be anarchy. It'll be anarchy. Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go.
Fellas, as much negativity that has surrounded the Cleveland Browns, one thing that we got to mention, man, being a Cleveland sports talk show, focusing a lot on the Browns. I mean, we touch on some other areas, but, the Browns, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Guardians, they are kind of our thing. The one thing when you look back over all the years of Cleveland Browns football, man, the one jewel that's out there or the one shining era that's out there is the Bernie Kosar era.
Oh yeah. Number 19.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And people have been made aware of the struggles that Bernie Kosar is going through right now, awaiting a liver transplant. Let's just take a minute to talk about, Bernie Kosar, maybe your favorite Bernie Kosar moment from over the years of being able to watch him play, man. When I look at all the teams that I root for, like those Cleveland Browns teams when I was in high school at Warrensville in the late 80s, man, I remember over lunch arguing with Clint Hall and just all those guys about the Cleveland Browns. Give me your thoughts about Bernie Kosar in that whole late 80s era.
I tell you, I loved Bernie. It's something how the way he played. Do you think Bernie would survive now? In the way in this NFL, the way they come after quarterbacks. But Bernie was that guy. As you were delivering that entry, L Train, I think about the game where Ernest Biner fumbled the ball. Okay, that broke my heart. I was stationed in Bethesda, Maryland at that time, and I remember watching the game in my cousin's basement over in Southeast Washington D.C. Because later on that day, I think the Redskins played. I forgot whoever they played and won that game, but we lost. Yeah, and we lost. But I still remember on the sideline after that play when Ernest Biner was on the sideline sitting on his helmet dejected, and Bernie walked over to him and touched him on the shoulder pad and basically kind of said, "Hey, man, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay." So that has always stuck with me, man, with number 19. And then the other day I was looking through something, and I guess the year he came out of college, they had a picture of him on I forgot what magazine it was, Sport Magazine or something, Sports Illustrated. It was him on the cover, and I believe Dan Marino, and they were two kids on the cover of the magazine, and at the time, it was forecasted that those two were going to be destined to be great. But yeah, I remember old number 19, loved him, man. I love Bernie Kosar, and I'm praying for him. And one thing I can say about him, all this week, every time they show clips of him, he's in great spirits, man. He's in great spirits, and he knows that we, in the city of Cleveland, from the city of Cleveland, love him and are pulling for him. But yeah, that's what sticks out to me. After Binder fumbled that ball and he went over and touched him on the shoulder,
Bernie
"Hey, man,
Kosar was the first athlete
okay." That's a leader
from
that's what
Ohio
a leader looks like.
That when he came out of the University of Miami said, "I want to go to Cleveland." That was what was telling to me. Is that he said, "I don't want to go nowhere else. I want to go home.
Sure did.
I want to go to Cleveland."
He did.
Okay? When they talk about Dylan Gabriel being a supercomputer,
For Cleveland.
and I laugh at that because Bernie Kosar was the first supercomputer. Bernie, you could not blitz Bernie. If you blitzed him, he lit you up because he had an innate ability to read defenses. That's why I never understood why the Browns never brought him in as an offensive or quarterback consultant. Because when you listen to Bernie Kosar when he was doing preseason games and they talk about Tony Romo and they talk about Tom Brady.
Great point.
Listen to Bernie Kosar. He would call a blitz from the radio booth. He said, "They're coming right now. That corner's coming."
Oh, yeah.
He could see. And Bernie just had an innate ability to just light teams up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was awkward coming from under center. Yeah, he wasn't the fastest guy in the world, but he was a winner. He got stuff done, okay? he was one of the few quarterbacks that I was seeing throwing for 400 and 500 yards a game. Okay, that was Bernie Kosar, and so I'm definitely praying for him. And like I said last week, and also Joe Thomas, who's dealing with had a cancer diagnosis. But Bernie, man, gee whiz, Bernie, watching him duel against John Elway, watching him go against Boomer Esiason, that was Jim Kelly, Dan Marino, and Bernie. I remember the game in Miami that they lost, that Bernie was lighting Miami up. Okay, Bernie yes, Bernie, because they was wearing the net jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't seen them in years.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
something like that. And so, Bernie was a true legend.
I think that was in '86. I think that was in '86.
We haven't had anything since then. I don't care. You can say Derek Anderson, Charlie Fry. You can say all of them. There was no one better than Bernie Kosar. And so I pray.
Come on, man.
I know I had heard an update that there was a possibility that he was going to go back into surgery and that they had found a liver for him. So, and you're right, Cap. Every time he's been doing updates, everything he said has been upbeat. And so you pray, and you root for him. But Bernie Kosar was an assassin. He was an assassin behind center. And when you talk to those quarterbacks that played with him, they acknowledged Bernie Kosar's greatness. And one last thing, the biggest memory that I have of Bernie Kosar is not in Cleveland. It's when he went to Dallas and took the Cowboys to the Super Bowl for injured Troy Aikman after Bill Belichick said he had diminishing skills.
Dallas,
Super Bowl.
And he went to
diminishing skills.
No. But when you say Bernie Kosar,
and he doesn't get the credit.
He
doesn't get the credit. He doesn't get
coordinator
for
that year
Rod.
when Bernie was having his great years.
They
was
never
Lindy
mentioned him.
Infante. And that's when Bernie was lighting stuff up, because you had that was the Bill Cowher was the special teams coach on that team.
Great offensive coordinator.
That was Marty's team. And you had Howard Mudd was the offensive line coach. You had Cowher was special teams, and you had Lindy Infante, who was the offensive coordinator. I wish I knew that, man. But hey,
who is the Water Boys on that team?
I don't want anybody to ever question my fandom
Browns.
For Cleveland sports or my fandom for the Browns, because I go back. But yeah, shout out to Bernie Kosar. I pray that he receives this liver and that he comes back, because when you listen to him now, he still has the knowledge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Man, throughout my life, I love sports. You guys know I love sports. I have an affinity for, all the Cleveland teams. And it just so happens to be the teams that I root for, are not the teams that are consistently on the upper echelon of being successful teams. Probably the best team that I root for in my lifetime in terms of consistency has been the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Oh, Cleveland.
That's great. Yep, that's awesome. The Ohio State Buckeyes is probably the most consistent, most successful team that I root for. But back in the late 80s, man, the Cleveland Browns and Webster Slaughter, Brian Brennan, Reggie Langhorne, Marty Schottenheimer as coach, that team was electric. It was electric. And a lot of people forget what the Cleveland Browns were the couple of years before Bernie Kosar arrived. See, we got Bernie Kosar through the supplemental draft, which at the time was a very unique way to acquire a player. It wasn't your traditional draft. So he came in as kind of the savior. And the years that Bernie Kosar gave our city during that time, I will never forget it. It is why Bernie Kosar will always hold a special place in my heart, because I've never experienced anything like that. I'm a supplemental Viking fan. We've had some, patchwork good years up here in Minnesota, but nothing really consistency, man. In the late 80s, guys, we didn't win the Super Bowl, but we're the best team in the league. We're the best team in the league for like 3 or 4 years consistently. And we, like Hot Rod said, we've never really seen that again. And a lot of it was attributed to Bernie Kosar.
Oh, yeah.
Remember our households every Sunday for games, man, the cookouts, the watching the games together, the heartbreak and the joy that we saw when the Browns won. So, like you guys, my prayers go out to Bernie Kosar. During my life of growing up in high school, when he was at his best, was just a tremendous time watching the Cleveland Browns, man.
Sure was.
I'll just never forget it. It was just,
Sure was. Yep.
you know, it was just awesome. Just awesome.
Yep.
Yep. But we got another successful team in Cleveland, you know, the Cleveland Cavaliers. You know, are supposed to do some things this year. You know, let's touch really quick on the Cleveland Cavaliers and how things are going with them, fellas.
Yeah, I'll kick it off. I watched them last night. I think when Rod was on
Yes, sir.
with his
Yes, sir.
podcast,
Yes, sir.
I watched them last night against Memphis, and they were down and came back. Wasn't it Memphis they were playing, Rod? Wasn't that Memphis?
Yep.
Yeah, uh-huh. And yeah, I loved the fight in them. Again, I want to see Donovan play a few less minutes because again we're going to need him come June. Okay. I know, like Rod said, the coach is, playing different, players, trying to figure out who matches where and what. And I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. Again, I love the addition of Alonzo Ball. I like Larry Nance Jr., in there.
Jared Allen.
I was beating up, our big center. What was why am I drawing a blank? Jared Allen. I've been beating him up, but man, he balled out last night's game. Okay, he's he's kind of up and down. He's either feast or famine. One night he's great, the other night he's kind of subpar. I'd like to see him get more consistent. But he was playing defense last night, and they look good. They fought back. I just want them to minimize the turnovers. Okay, they get in those modes where they have turnovers. They turn the ball over, and then they have defensive lapses. From time to time, they'll go ahead and then, they'll let the team, shoot their way right back in there. But so far, so good. It's early, L Train, you asked a question last week about that, OKC team.
Yeah.
They're not even, playing everybody. J-Dub ain't even playing.
I know.
And they're kicking butt and taking names. But like Rod say, we can't even focus on the West right now. Let's look at the teams in the East that we got to go up against. Detroit, Orlando, New York. Okay, let's focus on the East and who's in our backyard before we even, get to out West. But so far, so good with the Cavaliers. Remain healthy, minimize, Donovan's, time on the floor. Jared Allen start playing more consistent, and we're going to be right there. But again, we know we're going to do good in the regular season. It's all about what happens in June. What goes down in June. That's what it's all about.
Hot Rod, before Hot Rod goes, T mentioned the podcast. Hot Rod has a podcast that is
a good
lit.
one, too.
It is a good one. It is called The Locker Room. If you haven't heard about it, I'm going to have Hot Rod, when this is published, put the link to your podcast in the comments so people can click on that and get to your stuff, because your podcast is really good. So all the 3 to Hardway Nation people out there, if you didn't know Hot Rod has his own podcast, you got to check it out. It covers a variety of different things, more so Cleveland sports, but he touches on a lot of other stuff. So I just want to throw that out there. Go ahead, Hot Rod.
Had that pie in the sky type thing, and I love that. When I watch them, my eyes come and they open up wide, because I do agree Donovan Mitchell is doing too much. His usage rate is too high right now. I think, and I said this, I firmly believe right now that Jared Allen, because when you watch what he did in Miami, we're going for 30 and 10 when Evan Mobley was out. I truly believe now that him and Evan Mobley cannot be on the floor together. I believe that the best way for Jared Allen to be effective is you put Jared Allen with the second unit, and you move Evan Mobley to the 5, and you play Evan Mobley at the high post. And if you really want him to be that Draymond Green kind of guy that Kenny was talking about, then you put Evan Mobley at the high post, because there's not a 5 other than maybe Jokic, Embiid, and Wembanyama who can deal with Evan Mobley at the high post, at the nail. And I'm just watching, when the ball hits Donovan's hands, everybody stands still. If the ball is sticking again, do they miss Darius Garland? Yes. Should they miss Darius Garland this much? No. One of the things for me that I watch with them is that their defensive intensity comes and goes. When I tuned in when they were playing Memphis and I saw that Ja Morant was not out there, I was completely disappointed in their effort, because Ja Morant, don't get me wrong, Jared Jackson can play. He's a good player. But I watched Zach Edey take control of the game, and Zach Edey is like 7'4", and he's not very skilled as a big man. You know what I mean? He's a shot blocker, but he's not very skilled.
Mhm.
I said this, and I know
Right.
my Cavalier
Right.
fans gonna come at me, but I said 20 and 8 is Evan Mobley's ceiling. If you are expecting Evan Mobley to give you 30 and 15, he doesn't have the mentality to do that. That's not Evan Mobley's mentality. Evan
Mhm.
Mobley falls in love with the 3-point line, and he's starting to go to the basket now, okay, which I've seen recently. But I do think that Kenny about winning 64 or 70 games. He doesn't care about that. He cares about development. And so let's talk about that. Let's talk about Tyrese Proctor. Let's talk about Jalen Tyson. Let's talk about Craig Porter Jr., okay? Yeah, let's talk about Craig Porter Jr. Let's talk about,
Yep.
let's talk about these
I
young
love Jalen
guns
Tyson.
that's
I love
out there
Tyson.
that's bringing the energy. Naquan Tomlin. Let's talk about these guys that's coming off the bench, these developmental guys that are now making an impact, okay? Jalen Tyson right now is going. I said this last week, is going to cause a problem when Max Strus comes back, because you can't cut his time back. He's an effort kid. He's hitting the outside shot. He's defending. He's getting in people's faces. Okay, so you can't. And so I'm just waiting for the team to become fully healthy. When they become fully healthy, do I believe they're going to go on a run? Yes. But I believe that Kenny sees that he can't play Evan Mobley and Jared Allen on the floor at the same time. Even Steve Kerr had his death lineup. So what Kenny needs to do is put together a lineup that in the fourth quarter, if you down 5,
Right.
you throw those guys out there and you know what you're going to get from them. You know what I mean? They're still winning. That's the thing. But let's be honest, gentlemen, the Eastern Conference is really weak, okay? It's really weak. So, shout out. I do want the Cavs to keep winning, but
Eastern Conference
I
is
don't
weak,
have
yeah.
any more hair on top of my head to be pulling. I done pulled all my hair out for the Browns. I'm not trying to pull whatever I got left, whatever locks I got left for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They need to go ahead and get it together, bro. You know what I'm saying? But no, it was a good win in Memphis. But when are they going to get tired of being down by 15 in the fourth quarter and having to exert so much energy to come back? That's a lot of energy. So
That's a lot of energy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be interesting to see how the Cleveland Cavaliers, man, come up and continue to watch the team. Let me ask you really quick. This has nothing to do with the Cavaliers, but obviously John Morant is going through his team, with Memphis. His trade value is not what his people think it should be. Are you surprised? Are you surprised by that when it comes to John Morant?
No, I'm not surprised. And he's not as his play has kind of dropped off a little bit too. Again, he made the comment last week he's not having fun, And I don't think any team wants to take him on. Now, whatever team takes him on, again, like we said, it's got to be a veteran team, a team with some veterans, a team with some adults in the locker room that are going to whip him into shape. He's not getting that in Memphis where he is now.
Nope.
So he's got to go somewhere where he's surrounded by adults. But I can understand why teams aren't trying to fool with him, nor his dad. They're a package deal. The two of them when they come together.
Deal,
yeah, they're a package deal. Yeah. So nobody's really
and no one deals with
beating down the door saying, "Hey, bring that guy in." No, they don't want to fool
John
with him.
Morant. He's a malcontent. Okay. And no real organization is going to deal with that. As soon as he, gets upset, now he's going to shut down. Now, will teams go after him? Of course, because from a talent standpoint, the only person that I put above John Morant in terms of talent is Anthony Edwards. Okay? In terms of athleticism, is Anthony Edwards, because John Morant can put you in the bucket as well.
Oh, yeah.
But I think Memphis is looking for too much for him. That's why teams are backing off and I get what Memphis is doing. Memphis like, look, if we're going to get rid of our best player and build around Jared Jackson Jr., then we need to get enough picks and enough bodies to be able to do that. So their asking price is very, very high. Now, don't be surprised, because I've heard through the grapevine that the Mavericks are trying to have a fire sale, okay? Since Nico Harrison was fired, there are people who have said that the way the team is constructed currently is not the way that the owner wants it constructed. From my understanding, he did not want Anthony Davis. He did not want that trade to be made with Luka, okay? He signed off on it, but he didn't really agree with it, okay? Klay Thompson wants out because and I think Klay Thompson is a shell of himself. I think he's done. You know, they're even talking about trading.
He's a shell of himself, too.
The only person that's untradeable, of course, is the young rookie. You know, but could a deal be made where you see Ja in Dallas? Sure. They got enough pieces to make that happen, okay? That's if Memphis is willing to take on that type of salary, okay? Because you can put a Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis package together and a late round pick, and Memphis will take it, okay? Because Memphis is not going anywhere in the West. They're not. They're not going anywhere. So they might as well begin and go ahead and start rebuilding. But no, with Ja, nobody wants that malcontent. Nobody wants that.
Yeah, it's crazy, man, because, you know, a few years ago, Ja Morant was in the conversation for being the face of the league, and how he has dropped off, man, is just incredible. But, you know, as much as we talk about malcontents, there are some serious things, man, that are going on in the world. People are coming up missing all the time. So, you know, we put our resident captain on the trail of we put him on the trail of some people that are missing out there. Who do you got on the APB today?
All right. I'm going to go 2 hours to the north to the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., okay? There's a missing basketball team, there's a missing hockey team, and a missing football team. Let me start with their basketball team. The Wizards are 1-11. They got C.J. McCollum, they got Jameer Watkins, Vuvacek, man, and they just can't get out of their own way. Where you at, Wizards? Where you at? Let's move on to the Capitals, okay? Last year, this team was in the running for the cup, okay? With Alex Ovechkin and others. You know, they're 8-8. They're next to last in the Eastern Conference. Next to last. Where you at, Washington Capitals? Where you at? And let's move on to their football team, the former Washington football team, Washington Redskins, the Commanders. They are 3-8. Now, granted, they got some injuries. I get it. They got some injuries. But where you at, D.C.? Where you at? The only thing looking good up there is the Maryland Terrapins, you know, men's basketball team, and Georgetown basketball and George Mason basketball. Their pro teams, man, get them out of here. Look out, find them. Go find them and teach them how to win or do something. Let's move on. Draymond Green, where's your defense at, Draymond? Did you see Draymond the other night?
He got
wind beat. He got wind beat and then stood toe-to-toe with Wemby. Wemby looked down on him and said, hey, I'll do it again. Draymond, where's your defense? And I got one more person that you need to put an APB out on, is that Arch Manning. Fellas, his game just does not travel. He can play okay in Texas, but when he's on the road, he is nowhere to be found, okay? Arch Manning. Arch, again, we don't want you in Cleveland. We don't want you, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about, you know, coming out next year and being drafted by us. We don't want you, Arch. You got to stay in college. Now, again, you're going to be good one day, and you are a rookie. I get it. It's your first year starting, but on the road, you just don't show up, okay? So those are my 3 sets of folks that you need to put APBs out on. All the pro teams in Washington, D.C. Draymond Green's defense, get him out of here. And Arch Manning, get out of here. Be gone. APB, and be careful when you approach them because they are armed and dangerous. There you go.
What's the number they need to call?
1-800 the captain. That's it. Even if I'm out to sea, you can call my sea cabin. Even when I'm underway, you can call me on my sea phone. There you go, fellas.
APB.
There you go.
Oh, man, that was fantastic. Thank you, Cap. Thank you for that. Thank you for putting out the APB. Hey, man, one thing I was thinking about this week, because I text Hot Rod, I texted both of you guys, and Hot Rod mentioned it early in the show, that there were tickets for Cleveland Browns games being sold for $6, guys. The Cleveland Browns. So I thought to myself, man, because NFL tickets, and you guys have been to NFL games before, NFL tickets are expensive. You know, they're expensive.
Plus
parking, concessions, all the stuff. So I thought to myself, man, what costs more than a Cleveland Browns game? And I got a few things I got a few things for you. Did you guys know that a Starbucks small coffee costs more than the Cleveland Browns ticket?
Oh, yeah. I believe it. A white chocolate mocha. A grande white chocolate mocha costs more than that. A grande white chocolate mocha. Decaf.
Yep.
There you go. That's mine.
Hey,
Decaf.
I'm so
a
weak right
movie
now.
theater soda costs more than the Cleveland Browns ticket. Man,
That's it.
hey,
That's it.
2 gallons of gas
Yeah.
in Wisconsin costs
Okay.
more than a Cleveland Browns ticket.
I believe it. I believe it.
A Subway foot-long cookie set costs more than a Cleveland Brown. Fellas, think about this. This
There
the
you
Cleveland.
go.
A roll of duct tape costs more than a Cleveland Browns ticket.
Well,
Y'all
yeah.
want me to keep
Yeah,
going?
it was empty.
I got a
It
few
was
And
more.
you say, and y'all say that the stadium was halfway empty
The
today, huh?
stadium
Y'all
was
say the
halfway
stadium was empty.
Listen, man, a month of Netflix costs more than a Cleveland Browns ticket. Fellas, this is this is a bad state of mind when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. When they dropped those prices to $6 online, man, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. So I had to throw some things out there, man. What costs more than the Cleveland Browns ticket, man? Hopefully that improves with Shedeur.
Yeah.
Shedeur's going to
yeah.
make people super excited to come to the game. Now we got our start one, bench one, cut one, erase one from our guy, Rod. And I see that look on his face. See, whenever he has that smirk right there, I know he's got something under his sleeve when it comes to this start one, bench one, cut one. But I'm ready for it. When I
So,
found out it was Hot
you
Rod's
did
week, I said,
the
okay,
start
I'm
one,
ready
bench
for
one,
this.
cut
I'm
one,
ready for
erase
this right
one
now. So
last
Hot
week.
Rod, what you got,
If I
man?
Got Hot
remember,
Rod.
yours was fans,
Mhm.
like famous fans.
I
So
did.
I took that and I kind of went a step further. So this
Yeah,
start
yeah.
one, bench one,
Yeah,
cut one,
famous
erase one
fans
are
and their
going to
fandom,
be
yeah.
athletes who became actors or actresses. Okay. So the
Okay.
first one on the list
Okay,
All right.
I'm ready,
is
Rod. I'm not
Carl
scared.
Weathers, the late Carl Weathers. Okay.
Okay.
The second
Ooh,
one
okay.
is Dwayne Johnson,
Hollow
The
Creed.
Rock.
That's right.
Next is Terry Crews, and I had to throw one of my ladies in here. The last one is Ronda Rousey. So Carl Weathers, Dwayne The Rock Johnson,
Okay.
Terry Crews, and Ronda Rousey.
Okay, let me see.
Man, this is
Absolutely.
It's it's interesting.
yep. Because you can go a variety of different ways with man.
Okay, let me go first, L Train. I think I
All right. People may
Okay.
not agree with me, but I got mine.
Yeah,
Okay, go
yeah,
ahead, T.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna start Apollo Creed, Carl Weathers. I'm gonna start him.
Okay.
Start him.
UFC,
I'm gonna
okay.
bench Ronda Rousey because she got me into watching, women's, fighting. Okay.
Okay.
She got me into it. But after she got her butt kicked, she just went away, man. She disappeared.
Yeah.
After she lost, yeah, I haven't seen her. I haven't seen her. Yeah, she went away. But I'm gonna bench her. I'm gonna cut The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. I'm gonna cut him, and I'm gonna erase Terry Crews. I'm just gonna erase him, wipe him off the mat.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Wow.
erase him. He seems to be
Wow.
the least significant one.
Wow. I
Yep.
didn't expect that. I didn't
Yep.
expect that.
Yeah, start Carl, bench Ronda, cut Dwayne, and erase Terry Crews. Yep.
Man.
Wow.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I am going to start Terry Crews, T.
Totally opposite.
I think what Terry Crews has done with his career, just being a football player, not really having an acting background, just trying to make it in the NFL, and then what he's done to be on a lot of game shows and movies, like he's parlayed that into a nice career. Then I got the person I'm benching is Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I mean, he's making blockbuster movies. I mean, you can't argue that. His wrestling career as well. Dwayne Rock Johnson has niched out a nice little career. Then I'm gonna go Carl Weathers, Apollo Creed. Throw in the towel. Throw in the damn towel. Okay, you got Apollo Creed, and then Ronda Rousey is who I would erase.
Okay.
So I'm going
Okay.
start Terry Crews, bench Dwayne The Rock Johnson, cut
Very
Carl
interesting.
Weathers, and erase
Very interesting.
Ronda.
So
Rousey.
mine
Okay.
is
Okay.
I'm going to start Carl
Gotcha.
Weathers.
Wow. All right.
I'm going to
Right.
bench The Rock. I'm going to cut Terry Crews, and I'm going to erase Ronda Rousey.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Now, you two had Carl Weathers as a start.
Yep.
Give me your argument on Carl Weathers as a start.
I just loved him in Rocky. I loved him in Rocky and a lot of other sitcoms that he used to be in. I always loved his fro too, man. He had a nice afro. Yeah, he had that nice, cool, stay soft fro
and for
afro.
me,
But, I like Carl
it
Weathers.
wasn't
I loved
just
him in Rocky, man. I love
Rocky.
Rocky. I love that Rocky series.
You
I
know,
love that Rocky
Action
product.
Jackson, Predator, you know what I mean? Happy Gilmore, you know what I mean? You
Oh, yeah, I
saw
forgot
Carl
about that,
Weathers.
yeah.
And so that's,
Yeah, Predator, yeah.
now, of course, when you
Yes.
think of Carl Weathers, the first thing you think about is Apollo Creed. But Carl Weathers, and he wasn't a bad football player either. He was a really good football player. And then honorable mention, he just hit my mind, Fred Williamson. Yeah, Fred Williamson, so... Yeah, that's why I went with Carl Weathers. I figured I would throw a little curveball at y'all.
Williamson,
But I remember what L Train said last week, and I said, well, let me find some athletes who became famous actors. And it was a lot. I didn't want to. They had John Cena and they had all these other professional wrestlers, and I was like, I wasn't doing professional wrestlers. I want people that's been on screen. The only other one that I didn't put on there was Arnold Schwarzenegger because he was a bodybuilder. But I honestly don't really look at bodybuilding as a sport. Maybe that's me. I don't know. Maybe because I got a dad bod. I don't know. Maybe that's why that is. But yeah. So I figured that would throw y'all for a loop.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
Great one. Start one, bench one, cut one, erase one. Nice job, Hot Rod.
Yeah.
Now it's time for our parting shots, fellas. What do you got?
Yeah, I just want to say rest in power to Lenny Wilkens, the coach, man, passed away. We lost him. Yeah, great Seattle Supersonic. And I remember when he coached the Cavs, okay? I remember when he was a Cavs coach. And he's just always a class act, man. He always just appeared to be just that gentleman, just a classy gentleman. So
shout out to
rest in power, King.
Peace too,
he comes to mind. Coach
Kenny
Lenny
Easley.
Wilkens.
He was a safety for the Seattle Seahawks. Kenny Easley he just passed.
Oh, man.
The most iconic sight that I remember
Wow.
Kenny Easley was when they played the Raiders, and Bo Jackson came on a toss on the outside, and Kenny Easley had the angle, and Bo Jackson outran the angle. I never seen somebody outrun an angle, and Kenny Easley wasn't no slow dude. And but Kenny Easley, when you talk about true safeties, when you talk about your Steve Atwater,
he wasn't.
your Ronnie Lotts, your things of that nature, you got to talk Tom Dart. You got to think of Kenny Easley.
Right.
Kenny Easley up in Seattle and knock you out. So condolences.
Tom Dartons. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rod, I didn't know that. Not to cut you off. He's from this area where I live. He's from Chesapeake, Virginia. And he's a graduate of Oscar Smith High School, okay? Right here in Virginia. And I didn't know that. So as soon as I get off the air, I'm going to have a look at it. Just passed. Okay, yeah. He's from Chesapeake, Virginia.
Shout out to Bill Belichick.
Up 7.
The head coach for North Carolina.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
He's been getting so criticized because he locked the guy out of practice, of the facility. Bill is just being Bill. So he came back this week and he said because they like, well, if an NFL job comes up, then Bill, you're just gonna leave. He said, no, I'm committed to North Carolina. I'm gonna stay here. And my shout out to Bill Belichick, because you lying. As soon as an NFL job come up, Bill, you up out. Because the fact of the matter is you made your son the assistant head coach for when you leave North Carolina, that you can give it to him. So shout out to Bill Belichick for absolutely lying to the North Carolina fans.
That is fantastic, man. That's fantastic.
And he got a raw deal with us in Cleveland back in the day. He got a raw deal.
Hey, he's got a chance to make a return to the Giants or the Browns. You never know.
I don't even want to get started there.
Stefanski.
You never know. That's for a whole nother show, a whole nother topic. My parting shot, man, because I'm a coach and I know how we affect young people's lives. John Beam, man, the coach, Last Chance U. I don't know if you guys have ever watched the show Last Chance U on Netflix, man. John Beam, who was football coach on the Last Chance U. He got shot on Thursday at Laney College. He was 66 years old, and he died on Friday. The incident has been described as a targeted attack, and the suspect was arrested. But I just wanted to say pardon shot to
So
a guy
sad.
that people don't understand the lives that he affected as a football coach at his university, man. So my pardon shot just goes out to John Beam. May he rest in peace, fellas. May he rest in peace.
Yep. There you go.
Yep.
All right.
Well, thanks for another episode of 3 the Hard Way, man. We hit about 1,000 views last week. This thing just keeps growing and growing and growing. We're just going to continue.
Tell
this
a friend
thing.
about us. Tell a friend.
Yep. Make sure you tune in, share, like, subscribe.
That's it.
Every Sunday we will be here.
That's it. Hey, when people come in my bookstore, I say, hey, do you like sports? And they say, yeah, they're okay. It's okay. And they see my Browns flag flying in front of the store. I say, hey, man, it's 3 guys, 3 of my homeboys. We talk sports. I'm always giving out our information, man. Always. To total strangers. People come in my bookstore. I say, hey, man, you like sports? Come listen to us. I sure do.
Same.
Always marketing us.
Here, man.
Always do.
Same here. 3 the Hard Way. So from a guy, the influencer, Mr. Hot Rod Rodney Young, and the captain, we wish you a farewell. We'll see you guys next week.
Y'all have a great week. Have a great week, fellas. Great week.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.